So we're live now, right?
Yeah, give it a few secs, I would.
Okay.
Yeah. It's the speaker.
The scientific approach. Right. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and councillors. Welcome to the Sandwich Torbridge Fund Finance Committee meeting held on Wednesday, the 18th of February. First of all, can I confirm that we are quorate because we have 5 councillors present and the property manager and town clerk. Right, let's move forward on this. We are 6 councillors present. Marie has just arrived. So we're definitely quorate. We were anyway. Welcome.
Well, mate.
That's all right. We'll wait until you get.
No, carry on.
Okay, right. Do we have any apologies for absence received?
Yes, we have Councillor Green, personal commitments, Councillor Arngison, personal commitments, but Councillor Fortescue standing in for her.
Right.
And then Councillors D and P Carter both have personal commitments.
Okay, thank you. Item 226.2, do we have any declarations of interest to receive any declarations of disclosable pecuniary interest from members in respect of business to be transacted on the agenda? Are there any?
No.
Thank you.
Sorry.
Right. Item 3, minutes of the Finance Committee. We're requested to receive and approve the minutes and actions of the Finance Committee held on the 21st of December and consider any matters arising from those minutes not covered elsewhere. Some of these items actually appear later on. Date for QC, Quilter Cheviot meeting. We'll cover that when we talk about the Quilter Cheviot report that the RFO did for us. And the STBF accounts will be signed off on the 16th of March now by the two, the mayor and the
Yes, we've got it on the EGM.
on the EGM.
Yes, we can.
Yes.
Yeah, EGM,
Yes.
that's next week.
Right, okay, that's good. Let me just check if there's anything else that's come back up with finance reports. Okay, are there any other matters arising that people wish to discuss in relation to the minutes? Right, can I have a proposer, please? Councillor Wiles, seconder. Councillor Paul, no, of course. Can I have a seconder, please? Councillor Pennington. That looks unanimous with one exception. You were present.
I'm not voting for anything until I get myself set up. So.
Okay,
So 2
fine.
members abstained.
Right. Okay. Moving on. Item 4. Public participation. We have a session set aside for public participation, but have we had any requests? Right, thank you.
Sorry, Councillor Black, would you sign the minutes?
Oh, yes, sir. Initial and then
Yeah.
sign the last page, yes.
Thank you.
Okay. Right, the next item are the finance reports. We have 5A to approve, receive and approve Torbridge Fund Guildhall payment schemes. I would propose that we bring 5B and 5A, 5B and 5C together because they're all payment schedules. Are there any questions? Any matters arising from them? No? Okay, could I have a proposer to accept them? Councillor Zuka, could I have a seconder, please? Councillor Fortescue, and could I have a vote, please? Unanimous? Thank you. I'd like to combine also 5D, E, F and G, which are the Guildhall Bank Account Reconcile Statement, Sandwich Tollbridge Fund Bank Account Reconcile Statement, Sandwich Tollbridge Fund Museum Bank Account Reconcile Statement, and to receive and approve the Sandwich Tollbridge Fund Group Cash Book Statements. I did ask 2 questions of the RFO. I wasn't sure who, in 5D, who Kestrel was, but I've been told that's one of the caretaking arrangements. And in 5F, I did ask why we were paying for a conservation membership, but it turns out this is an annual payment we pay to a national organisation for conservation advice and so on. It has had occurred before, but that's the reason for that. So those are the 2 questions that I have. With any, Councillor Watts.
5D, the last line there, multiple suppliers, 3,339.50. What is that? Is that an amalgamation of ones in the earlier statement?
5D, so
The last line on 5D, multiple suppliers.
I don't know. I don't know the answer to that question. I haven't spotted that.
It's a credit.
It is a credit, so customers. Okay. Could we question that and get back to you offline, if that's possible?
5D.
5D,
Last entry.
311225, multipliers customers, and is a credit of £3,339.50.
Yeah.
Thank you. Moving on, we were talking about D, E, F, and G. Are there any questions about that? Any other questions?
No, I'm happy
Could
to propose
Councillor
exception.
Richard proposing, Councillor Wiles seconding. Councillor Marie? Abstaining.
Yeah, I still can't get on one.
This
This is,
Don't for it.
Okay, right. Looking then, I then also propose to bring 5H, I, J and K together. This is the budget variance report for the Tollbridge Fund, the Guildhall, the museum, and then the commentary on budget variances. And again, as I said at the other meeting, I find it very useful to have this commentary on the budget, which I think is something that was long overdue, and I really welcome it. But are there any questions about this? Okay.
No, so obviously what we would want to have is some conclusions which can't be provided at the moment.
They come up, yeah. I was a bit concerned that some of the letting income and the market income were not as quite as high as they should be. But otherwise, I think the RFO's view is that the budget is in a good state at the moment.
Yeah.
And I think we have to take that as the circumstances. Could I have a proposer for that, for acceptance, please? Councillor Wiles, and seconded by Councillor Fortescue, sorry. Brain's cracking me up. Vote, please.
Yep. Acceptance.
And thank you, where I was having my snack. 5L, which is the Quilter Cheviot report. Now, we have got a much more long-term report later on in the meeting about Quilter Cheviot's performance. I think we might be best to concentrate on that.
Yeah.
We have got an annual return at the moment claimed of 11.3%. But the comparator, I did speak to the RFO about this, and for whatever reasons, and I think this is one of the questions we need to ask Quilter Cheviot when we do see them, is why they're using a very different comparator to the actual market that they're trying to serve. Because there is no way they're ever going to meet that comparator, which is why it always looks quite so bad, and rightly why a lot of councillors question the performance. But when we look at the next document related to Growth Achieve, I think we'll see a different picture. I hope so. So I'd
like to propose we receive the report.
Okay, need a second? Councillor Fenton. Okay, unanimous, thank you. Right, we then move on to the non-finance papers, just for a moment, we bring them up. Through those. Then we have the attachment 6, which is the action log, and now we're going to get, there's a statement tonight, and there's a paper tonight about St. Peter's Hall. Thank you for that. Car park management is a longer term process. The Aeroco's report and QC performance is attached, and we will discuss that later. We'll also suggest during that part of the session talk about when we could have a meeting with Growth Achieve and any questions that might arise from that. And we've already discussed when the STBF trustees will sign the annual accounts.
Okay.
Are there any further questions about the action plan? No? Proposal, please.
So as we.
Councillor Wiles.
Receive it.
All right. Councillor Tuka seconding. Unanimous. Thank you. Right. We next have a report on the work at St. Peter's Hall and Day Social. Is Day the name of somebody? It was called the Day Social Hall after somebody, was it?
I guess it's day rather than night.
Yes, exactly. It is. It is.
Eh? Oh, right.
Daytime.
A daytime social. Hall.
Yeah.
Never heard of one before. So.
No, I made it up. I think that's what it is.
Would you like to tell us?
Yes, just to clarify, that is that's the gym for anyone that's actually aware of the actual the property there. So yeah, it's really 2 points on this one. So we've got the flat roof, that sits between the two buildings, has been leaking for certainly since 2022. I went there with Councillor Black and the town clerk, and we looked at it, and it's obviously it's not going to get any better. Tonight it will be leaking, and tomorrow it will be leaking. So the point is, the tenant hasn't got it's his responsibility. He hasn't got the funds available to pay it in one go. What he's asking for is for us to support him in that, but on the basis then that we will recover the costs back from him. And we're looking at the moment, and his lease actually, no one renewed it in 2022, so it's just rolling over at the moment. So the idea is to get a new lease on there, get us the stability, get a new lease, and within the new lease, increase the rent to be able to then, cover the cost over time. That's one option. And again, until we know the full cost of the roof, it's very difficult to know what route it can go. But one of the routes, I say, is to increase the rent. Another route would be to have a loan agreement with the actual tenant. Or further, you could even split it, so have a loan agreement for a certain amount and an increase as well. So once we know the full cost of the roof, we can sit down with the tenant and see exactly what he's proposing, and I can then bring back. The work's got to be done. He's not saying it's not his responsibility. So the work was priced in 2022, and then at the end of early 2025, I've got a company to go back out and look at it again. And of course, building costs are going up, but there will be a saving compared to where we were before, because he's going to take on the interior aspect of the work will be undertaken by the tenant or one of his contractors. Mm-hmm. And that was actually quite a significant part of the job. You think the actual cost of the roof would be, mainly that, but the internal works were quite significant. So there will be a reduction in that. I've prepared a scope of works. I've had one company that's gone out already. I've got another one booked for next Friday, even though I'm off. And I've got a third company I'm waiting to hear back from. So then I say, once I've got that information together, then they can come back. It's a great property, really. I mean, it's apart from this roof situation, it's very clean and presentable. So that's that. I don't know if you have any questions about that on that side first before we go on to the next
Are there any questions?
part of it.
Councillor Walker.
Are we reasonably confident that the tenant has the money to fund the works? I mean,
The internal works, he feels comfortable that he can get people to do the internal works. Of course, what we would need at that point is to have a schedule of works for the inside and to make sure that work's done. And have the ability then, if he doesn't do the work, to come in and actually do the work and recharge it back, which you can do under the lease. So yes, he said he's comfortable to be honest, it's a lot of it's quite cosmetic, the inside, and it depends on how far you take it. So, but yeah, I'm confident on that side. It's just the major cost of that roof. And the changes since 2022, if it was done in 2022, it would have been so easy. Since that time, regulations have changed, and flat roofs are treated the same as a pitched roof. You've got to have a certain amount of insulation. You've got to meet these UV values. So you've got to have insulation, so you can't go underneath, it's not enough, so you've got to actually create a whole new top. So that's why the prices have gone up. So to answer your question, I'm confident he'll do the inside, but we will be able to get the details on that as far as what he will be expected to do, what we would do, and how he would pay it back. So I will be able to prepare a document to cover all those points.
Okay, any other questions on roofs? Okay. Next one, the emergency light?
Yes, so yeah, fire safety in general.
Yes.
I'll cover the different points. So obviously fire safety is a huge thing. We're going on all the properties, look at exactly what they've got in place and what needs to be done. So when I was there doing the electrical work, I was doing the emergency electrical work, which was such a separate. I was there earlier the hours of the morning, and you don't realise, all the electricity, of course, we had to turn off to do the work. And I'm walking around virtually in the pitch black, so I'm looking for that light's working, but that one's not, and that's not enough. So that's where it came. So while we were there, we realised we need to do some work. Those lights need to be replaced, and there's a little corridor there towards, in the back of the side,
Right.
and there's no emergency lighting. So if the electric went off, you wouldn't know where you're actually going. So I had it priced out, and it's £300 plus that. We need to go ahead and get that done.
Okay.
That needs to be done.
Now, is this our responsibility, the emergency lighting, or is this the tenant's responsibility?
It's strange. It's a grey. It is a grey area. It's electric, and we are responsible for electrics.
Okay. And
So I would say that is part of our, would be part of the responsibility of a landlord.
Okay. So at the end of this discussion, then you'll be looking for approval for that expenditure.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. You also had a discussion with them about the fire alarm system and also the up-to-date report on their fire risk. I'm glad to note that his fire extinguishers and so on are up to date. And thank you for being informed.
No
about
worries.
that.
Yeah, that has been updated since I prepared this report. So I received, obviously I asked him for the copy of the certificate when it was last checked. It was checked September and it passed. It just didn't have it with him at the time, but he sent it over when you contacted me the other day. So the fire safety, there's no fire alarm system in there. There are no smoke alarms in there, and there are no call points. They're the points that you press if you realise there's a fire and you're getting out. So there's nothing there. So that needs to be done. He's responsible for the fire risk assessment. Okay, he said that obviously that's his responsibility. So I've given him a couple of companies that we've used before, and I'm waiting for him to say when they're going to be coming out. I will meet them at the property. I've just listed what I feel it could need. I've got an indication in my mind what that's going to cost, but obviously for commercial reasons, it's not the place to be,
No.
to say. And once that's done, then obviously with him, he knows that he will prepare a logbook with all the emergency drills and records and everything else. But until you get a fire alarm system in there, you know, one of the drills is call point testing. You haven't got a call point in there, you're not going to be testing it. So that's where we're at. As someone says, a grey area regarding who is responsibility. I mean, he's got responsibility to make sure the property is safe, but so do we as landlords, so does STBF. And I think that always the overriding factor is insurance on that building. Because insurance companies will wriggle out, as we all know, if they can find a reason not to pay out, and if there hasn't been a disclosure that there's no fire alarm system in at the moment, that will be a problem.
Yeah.
So we're going to get the price, and this is a job that we're going to have to do. And then we've got a compliant property with a new roof, hopefully we can agree to that, and and a tenant that's been there years. So I think it'll be positive to get the work done.
I mean, that gym's been on the go for a long time, and I think it's a key component to the town, isn't it? Councillor Marks, do you want to ask a question?
So just to clarify, all of the items on page 2, 3, or in terms of fire, emergency lighting, fire alarms, detectors, etc., we are going to foot that bill.
Pages 2,
Well, everything after the flat roof,
yes,
we're going to foot that bill.
yes.
And we're talking several thousands, presumably.
I would say that obviously the emergency lighting is very reasonable. The fire alarm system, until I get the price, but it's nowhere near the scale of Empire. It's nowhere near that. It's nowhere near that.
It calls into question this property, the money we're receiving, the money we're spending.
Yes.
It's another white elephant, I'm afraid.
Well, it all depends on what we're able to come to an agreement with the tenant about and how, over what time period. The difficulty is that a lot of these things, until our property manager came on board, weren't really reviewed.
I think I would say, with fire safety, yes. I mean, if you do sort of kind of cosmetic work on properties, you can get a better return because you've got it all looking nice, new toilets, all new, redecorated, etc. Unfortunately, there's no real extra value for doing compliance work of fire safety, except for when you come unstuck. Then you really have a problem.
Then you really have.
And then you really have a problem. Or if you're looking to, if the property's looking to be sold, it can't be sold as it is. So it would need to be doing the work going forwards. And
I really think we need to look at this because a lot of these things are things that are required for the use of the building.
Yes.
If the use of the building wasn't that, then they would be scaled down, presumably.
Any public going into that building, or while there's public walking in that building, that's the risk. That's where it could be.
So
let's have a look. We can only go based on the FRA, but you're correct. Different uses have different means, but if public are walking in there,
Let's say it was an office,
yeah,
the requirement would be less.
not necessarily, but it can be. It can be on
more
certain
on the
cases.
business than on us.
It would be done. They have a duty on their employees to make sure. Yeah. So at the moment, he has a duty on his employees, but also members of the public.
Yeah. I'm not sure it'd be significantly different if anybody other than an owner was using it for his own purposes, like domestic purposes. I would imagine you're going to have some kind of regulatory control over it.
It's fairly basic. I've actually just the actual system. Yeah.
Thank you. Yes, it seems to me that we are catching up with a period of neglect, and we are doing things that we would have to do anyway. And it would be, I think, sensible to carry out this work, get the building in proper shipshape order in terms of the regulation, and then look at the question of whether it's worthwhile keeping or not.
But this is why we need an asset management strategy, because
This is why you're
this
getting
is a commercial business.
Yes.
It's not a community benefit business, you could argue. So, why are we subsidising a
One
commercial
could
business?
say that about many of our properties. And there's
The cinema.
so, exactly. We've got to get the fire regs sorted out, the fire assessment, because unless the place gets converted into domestic premises, I can't see how you're going to avoid that. I mean, I'll be guided by experts, but I've been surprised because the moment you allow people other than your own family in, you have a different risk profile and a different commitment to them. However, you're right to ask the questions. I think we'll keep note of that. Pardon me. We've got a number of things that the property manager has asked for. And first of all, are there any other further questions about this before we go to a vote?
So we're only being asked to note the first 5 points.
Yes.
The actual decision is the £300, so I think we should move to the vote.
So first of all, on items 1 to 5, we're being asked to note the information. Councillor Wiles proposing, Councillor Marie seconding, vote on that please, thank you. And then we are being asked to agree to the payment of £300.79 plus VAT to mitigate risk. There, that's item 6. Councillor Marie proposing, Councillor Fortescue seconding. Unanimous. Thank you, folks. Right, you then have a recommendation on Guildhall fees, which is to a great extent, a complete rewrite of what you originally proposed.
Yeah, I like changing my mind on things when I can improve things. Yeah, it's not that dissimilar, to be quite honest with you. It's not that dissimilar, but I got the support last time. So just want to quickly go for it. I won't take too much of your time. I was going to take any questions that you have. So on the first point, stage 1, the revised fees, I've added 2 things. I've added Sunday into the mix because we're in discussions with people at the moment who are interested in hiring on the odd Sunday. I'm looking for, it's going to hopefully quite a big event. It's going to be taking place on a Sunday. So I needed to add that. We've got the staffing in place for that, so that there's no change. So I wanted to put that on the list, basically. And another thing, listening to what people were saying regarding, I was doing as you know, the alcohol sort of surcharge. It started to get very complex. So I've made a change to that. And basically what I'm saying is that if there's more than 80 guests, the actual hirer will pay for the full cost of a door supervisor for the event. And that also is 30 minutes before and 30 minutes after as well. It's something that we're doing. I'm going to be quite honest with you, we're doing it at the moment. And it hasn't caused us any problems. And it just saves, it's all about cost. Now, there are going to be certain events, of course, where people enjoy a drink after the event. So we've got to be, reasonable with this. If there's someone that's going to be, say for instance, the Art Society can have a couple of glasses of wine, but it is the way to go. Otherwise, we're going to be spending so much money on having, security or staff in place, and we need the correct staff and the correct people in place when you have big events.
Okay, are there any questions? Councillor Watts.
Julian, in the appendix, the report you did in December, you say that the income is, sorry, I just lost the report, is projected to increase, is it 57,000 the current year?
Yes, that was, I got the figures off the RFO. He took what the first 6 months were from the 1st of April to September last year, we times that by 2.
53,718 projected. Is that still on target?
I can't tell you that. No, we took the 6 months times that by 2. I haven't got the figures.
That was one of the things I mentioned earlier. The budget summary. We are a bit short on that.
So the revised fees, although they in some cases were higher, we're still.
No, this is based on the current fees rather than my revised fees. Obviously, we can't introduce them.
The previous revised fees.
Previous revised,
Those are projecting an increase in income. currently.
Yes, yeah, the revised fees that we had in 2020, at the beginning of 2025, that we introduced in April. And then
So the
recently,
indication is that the new fees are not putting people off from renting space.
well, sorry, not the new proposed, obviously no one knows, so the fees from
December
25.
fees.
Yeah,
And now these new ones.
yes, so the fees, no, we lost a couple of smaller groups, but we've picked up new business and quite a bit of new business, and also a couple that went before have now come back to us. They've been to other places
So it's a
and they
balance.
say, yeah, we'd like to come back. So, and we've had existing hirers as well have increased the amount of days that they're using. Unfortunately, what happens, you get an evening where you've got 3 or 4 all want the same room, and you think, no, we could do with more space. But yeah, it's so on that side. Are there any other questions regarding that side?
Okay, we've been asked, I mean, I'm not sure about the Arts Society being quite that, so, and the trouble with the History Society is just wait till later tonight.
And then on stage 2 was about adjusting the staffing, which it's happened. So we've adjusted the staffing because I've got a new member of staff now. So Tanker, who some of you may have already met.
Yeah.
So he's doing, some of the evening shifts and doing the security services as well. So that has already been sort of covered. Which again, that will make a saving because we don't need to get so much of the security in. So that was that side of it, which is happened naturally because of Tanker joining us. The last one I said I could obviously look at the bespoke prices. It's the regular hirers. I was trying to find a system where we could save costs by looking at letting them in. Off we go home and come back later to shut the door. So lock the door and put the alarm on. Obviously, I've looked at it in more detail and spoken with the insurance company. It's not an option. We can't do it. It's not practical, obviously, to leave them here. So what we are going to do, if with your support, which makes perfect sense, is on each of the highways to have a steward. They used to do it with the weddings here. Have a steward, the point of contact for us. They will have a radio, so if there's any problems, we can communicate with them. They're in charge of the little group. If there's a fire, is an incident, they can leave the premises. So by doing that, we'll make it be a lot safer. So obviously, we're not going to be saving money. It's just a way of doing that.
Good.
Making it
Let me
safer.
just ask who the steward would be would be the responsibility of the hirer to identify the steward, and we would need to train a number of people on things like evacuation procedures and so on.
We go through the routes, where they would take in the event of this.
It's the hirer's responsibility to clearly identify the steward, and that person has to be identified to our staff.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and then we'll supply them the radio, and we need to make sure that they know about escape routes and alarms.
Yeah, we're not giving them the full responsibility. We're still responsible. It's just a case of making, they're another layer,
Yeah.
to be able of communication.
Okay. Right, folks. Do we want to take these as 3 separate votes, or are you content with being asked to support this? Are you content to have 1 vote on all 3 items? What's the view of the meeting? 1 vote?
One vote, but this will move on to the STBF, I see.
Sorry?
Yes, it will have to because
Yeah.
to get the
Involves
agreed
rates.
fees.
Yes.
So all we're doing is supporting.
We're
That's it.
being asked to
Yes.
support at this stage. Could I have a proposer, please? Councillor Fortescue? And yourself? Councillor Pennington, seconding. That is unanimous. Thank you. Right. Thank you, Julie, for that.
Pleasure.
The next item is, that's fine, quite a bit of paper to get through. The last item we've got is a report from the RFO on Quilter Cheviot. Now, I asked for this just to make sure that I start to understand where Quilter Cheviot actually are. Now, a couple of points of information. You'll see it's headed CAIF, and CAIF is the Charity Authorised Investment Funds. Because part of the problem seems to be that Quilted Cheviot and their own reports are not comparing like with like. This does compare like, it's produced by one of these many indexing companies. So you've got people like Schroders, Saracen and others there, who some of the names I am familiar with. I asked him to give us a report on how Quilted Cheviot are actually performing. So we have 3 charts. One is their performance year to date in 2025. The second one is a comparison over the past 3 years. And the third one is a comparison over the past 5 years. And they are much more like for like investments. And according to that, Quilted Cheviot are doing not badly in the market that they're in. And bear in mind, we as councillors are the people who have set what the risk profile should be. We have tried, and we have succeeded in some cases, in influencing what they should invest in. And we've also been very clear about how averse we are to doing certain things. So comparing it, say, with a company that is not under such constraints, inevitably there's going to be a different performance. The second issue is about the makeup of that thing, whether in the short run, the makeup that we've got is not doing quite so well against the market, but in the long run does rise to where the market is. So that's what we take from this, that compared to similar people, they are doing a fairly good job. That's not to say they couldn't do better, but that's for the second part of the discussion, which is what do we want to do? We want to bring them in. How are we going to do that, and what questions we might have? Councillor Wells.
So the 3 graphs, I take it that Quilter is the blue line.
Yes, correct. That's correct.
So for the 5-year comparison, the fund has grown by 35% effectively.
Yeah.
Which is pretty good, isn't it?
It's not unreasonable, is it?
10% in 1 year.
Yeah. I mean, obviously, the trouble is whenever you take a photograph, it freezes something in time, and that could be a month where the performance is not so good, or it could be a month where the performance is outstanding. It depends just how the market is operating.
So it's 7% over per year, which is okay. It's not great, because don't forget this is investments as opposed to putting it into
If you have
banking.
If you had a higher risk strategy, it
Yeah,
might be-
well,
And I think it would be unwise of the council to do that. So
Well, I think
horses and horses.
I think we've really got to have a detailed discussion about this. We can either moan about this
Or stop moving.
and do something about it, or stop moaning. And so far, every time this has been discussed, because when we looked at it monthly, there's been a moan about it. So this is what I wanted to get to the bottom of what is actually happening here.
My only tweak, as I've said before, would be to say put 5-10% in high risk, as a risk approach, and it might pay off, it might not. But if 90% or more is still in the medium or lower risk, then it should be okay.
Well, we also did a report. Councillor Pennant was involved in trying to look at the performance of this, which we did about 3-4 months ago, and said we really should be looking at a much more broad portfolio of risk, and that we should have some elements in high risk, not a high percentage, but if you want a better return, you're going to have to take that risk.
Yeah.
Now, we haven't discussed that, but I do think it's one of the things we need to discuss. Sorry.
Well,
Tom.
I mean, the RFO makes the point about the portfolio is not just the fund is not just the portfolio, it's the assets as well.
Yes.
I can always remember, I mentioned before, going to a Francis Bacon exhibition several years ago, and there was a huge, brilliant bacon which was owned by Inverness council,
Yes,
probably bought for £500, now worth 30 million. You know, it's an option, isn't it, to invest in other things?
and how many councils have got paintings in their stores which are
So we might have.
We should step back, I think, actually. What we've done is we've taken a medium risk approach to the fund. For me, that is sensible to do, because I don't think we should gamble with the charities' funds, and the returns are reasonable. And if we should avoid coming to every meeting that the STBF has and have moans about its return. We've got evidence in front of us, a risk profile we've set, which is medium risk, not low risk. We are getting a return that is reasonable. I think we have to stop venting so much energy on something that we've done now for 3 years, because I'm already hearing we need to now go and look at another direction and trying to change it. You know, the whole point was it's underperforming was the argument 3 years ago, and then the effort was put in, and the proof is that actually the fund isn't underperforming because of the profile we've set. So then we hear we might want to go and buy some artwork, or we might want to put 10% in high risk. We can all juggle it around, but ultimately it's the trustee that is managing a fund at medium risk.
I'm not suggesting a major change, just a tweak.
Yeah, but we can all tweak, or if we have 600 tweaks.
I think first of all, we need a clearer understanding of how to do this. I'm not quite sure how they get the right mix in the portfolio that corresponds to what we requested in terms of risk. Secondly, I think there have been complaints because it now seems that they have underrepresented the return that they were getting. And we just looked at their bottom line numbers and they weren't great. And that's why we've been complaining. Now, I think the time has now come when we probably need to close the debate one way or another. But at least we now seem better informed than we were.
I think as a trustee, we have to always be reviewing the strategy. That's our duty.
Okay.
I've been a moaner in the past, but I've changed my mind. What's achieved yet is its performance has been quite reasonable. And also presumably that the full council would have to
Yes,
agree to any
Trustee.
significant change.
the trustee would, and that was a paper that we did about 4 or 5 months ago to say we really should have a good look at this. And what is the best thing where we can do it. In the short run though, I mean, that's something that probably needs to be discussed at trustee level. However, in the short run, we're invited first of all to receive the report, which I don't think will be contentious at all. We can vote on that. We've got 2 other items though, which I'd like to discuss as quickly as we can. Quantitative said they can come and see us, but as I understand it, they only want to come during a normal working hours. Is that correct, Declan?
I think he said he will if he has to, but if it was to be a pre-meeting, I think there's strong feeling from the executive, whatever his qualification was, that perhaps he could be zoomed in to a pre-meeting, because it's a long journey down from London.
Yes, it is.
But there is a curveball as well. Yesterday, the RFO received an invitation to meet the manager. Quilter Cheviot are having a jolly, a jolly with purpose, I think. To meet the manager and to have lunch. There's a roundtable lunch where you have the opportunity to meet the manager of Quilter Cheviot. So it's an interactive session with Howard Jenner, manager of the fund. We will discuss everything from the current portfolio positioning to the outlook for the markets. You'll be able to put your questions directly to Howard and explore the themes shaping today's investment landscape. The event will also offer excellent opportunity to meet and share insights with other charities, both investors in the fund and those considering their options, and to raise any topical issues facing the sector, investment related or otherwise. So I think this is a a useful opportunity. And the RFO and I were talking about it, and we were wondering whether or not it would be good for him to go and see if they had perhaps availability for another person to go, a councillor to go as well, perhaps, or I would suggest that if it was just one person, if they only had capacity for one, it should possibly be the RFO as the officer. But if they can accommodate an officer and a councillor, that might be a good solution.
Okay. It's certainly, some of these things can be useful, but you have to manage it very carefully. The optics, it's a very difficult one. A lot of investment companies do this. I've been to them when I was a trustee of a pension fund. Whether, how ethical you are depends on the supplier. What is the consensus of the meeting in this?
My concern will be is the fact that it's always the same questions asked every single year we have a discussion with Quilter Cheviot. Every time it's the same questions
This is
every time.
at Quilter Cheviot.
Yeah.
So it's a Quilter Cheviot networking event to meet them at their offices and meet with
My personal opinion is regarding the thing on the agenda, we can see we're doing well. It's doing well. We can see it's. My apologies, I don't mean to sound out of turn. It's always the same councillors making the complaints every single month without fail, every time we have a full council meeting regarding the Tollbridge Fund. They're answered the questions, they're still not happy with the questions that they're given. My personal opinion, let it run, it's fine. It's just that we're working on the Tollbridge Fund as well. We're having a big discussion regarding the Tollbridge Fund next week. Just leave it alone, that's my personal opinion.
Okay, thank you. Any other points?
So on specific, I'm sceptical without seeing the detail, because networking meetings are bread and butter for these sorts of organisations, where they bring people in, give them a nice lunch, and you leave without any conclusive. It's part of their budget in terms of engagement. So I would want to see the detail of that to understand the value that we as a trustee would get out of this.
I think that's a very good point, that we would want to see that. I think that if we were able to get 2 people there, I think that would be useful. There is an alternative which I suggested last time, which is through various contacts I can get hold of a company that specialises in how charities best invest their funds without recommending anything in detail. That's another approach. Because we should keep, in any financial organisation I've been, where be it a pension fund or anything like that, you do need to constantly, every 3 or 4 years, look at your supplier and say, am I still getting the best deal from you? I think, Councillor, your point is very well made, and I'm trying to spike that gun so people can't moan and say, here's the evidence. Now, please accept that you may have been misguided. I mean, Councillor Portsmouth said very clearly, I was a sceptic, but now I'm not a sceptic. Now that's great, because we had pretty rubbish information. I don't disagree with you, Councillor Portsmouth. Information was rubbish, but I do think that it may be useful to talk to some other people, but it needs to be well structured.
I think the first thing we need to do is have the major discussion what we're going to have next week at the EGM. After that, it comes back to finance, STBF Finance, and then we can discuss our options regarding Quilter. They've given us a report. That report has to go to the full trustee to say, right, this is what they've said. Okay, if you disagree with it or not, that's up to you. But I think the most important thing, especially, is next week when we have our discussion of what we are going to do regarding the Tollbridge Fund. And I think we need to hold off until then.
Okay, that's a fair point. Councillor Tugan.
So back to what I said earlier, we have got a risk profile that's medium risk. We've got in front of us comparisons with 4 other similar fund investors. We have Quilter Cheviot at the top or close to the top. I don't know what else we're trying to achieve out of this, because we've got evidence-based discussions of what we should do. We've got the evidence now. They are telling us, demonstrated against other competitors, that they are doing what they are expected from us. Unless we have a massive energy to try and play the market with a greater risk, then we're just going around and around in circles. But I'm comfortable with what I've got in front of me in terms of the profile and what they're doing.
Councillor Black, may I make a suggestion that, that this report could be accepted and that at the annual meeting of the STBF, which is in June, a discussion over reviewing the risk profile could be had at that point, and then once that risk profile discussion has taken place, then to review could achieve it, because
Yeah,
the report seems to be that the medium risk, and it's doing what it says on the tin, it's doing what you've asked it to do. If you want to
Precisely.
review what we want to ask it to do that at the annual meeting.
I would endorse that. I think we do, and the group that came together to work on this, we were very clear that we could look at our risk profile and still have a good risk profile, but improve some things, because our job is to maximise the return that we are getting, and that needs a mixture. So I think that's a very helpful suggestion. I would certainly be well to do that. We do need to review the risk profile. I don't think we can remain with it as is, and I disagree with people, well, that's the thing. However, coming back to it, to the second question, we are due to have a meeting with Quilter Cheviot. Do we want to postpone that at the moment until we've had the meeting done as the town clerk suggested, or do we want an earlier meeting with them? What's their view? And also, would we be prepared to accept a Zoom meeting or a Teams meeting rather than a physical presence?
Zoom is okay.
Zoom's fine. The question is, when did we last meet with them?
It's already a year, it's every year, at least a year,
When?
or a year and a half.
Yeah, when was it we last met with them? It would be good to have it somewhere 12 months forward.
And
Last,
There are 3 dates on the report.
yes. And does
it's
it
either November 24 or March 25.
It was certainly the previous administration, I know that.
No, we've done it.
No, sorry,
Yeah, this administration has done it. We've done it the first
Sorry,
year.
I mean, with sort of the and its support, so.
Yeah.
And is this something that has to be, do we have to invite the trustee to this? I can imagine that's essential.
Yeah.
We've got to have the
It'd
trustee.
be the trustee, yeah.
It is a trustee.
And
So,
to be a closed meeting.
Yeah.
oh, it's a closed meeting, there's absolutely no question about that.
Just, sorry, to clarify, the 3 dates that I've chosen, 23rd of February is, well, that's not going to happen.
No,
is
That
that
will
one?
not happen.
But one of the 27th of April is an STC meeting, but this would be a closed meeting. It's just that we have all of the
Yeah,
members
trustee.
of the trustee
Yeah.
are present, so
Yeah.
although it's STBF, it could be a pre-meeting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
27th.
I think that would be better.
Yeah.
So we're doing it as a pre-meeting. Is this group happy that we use something like Teams or Zoom?
Yeah.
Yes?
Yeah.
I think that's the second point that we have resolved. So really, we won't do any questions for them. This paper is going to go to the EGM.
I think we just said leave it.
It's not going to be EGM.
I thought it was going to the EGM.
So the EGM's got two items. One is the reports
Yeah.
of the
Relationship.
relationship.
Yeah.
And the second one is to get sign off the accounts.
The
So
account.
as I said before, my opinion would be is to have that big discussion on Wednesday regarding the relationship. Then after that, bring it back to finance, STBF Finance, and say, right, this is what we're going to do regarding the That's my opinion.
Personally, I'm not sure how the two link in, because there is the decision about
Well,
where.
they're linked because they're an investment company. They're running the investments of a charity for us. If we decide to close the charity down, which I hope we don't Wednesday,
Yeah.
then we're going to have that discussion regarding what we're doing.
That's a given, but the review of Quilter Cheviot's performance and
Yeah.
whether we want to look at the strategy of their profiling is separate from the relationship.
Yes,
discussion.
it is quite separate.
Yeah.
And that's why I wasn't aware we were not taking this at all
No.
to the EGM.
There's no pressing need for it to go to an extraordinary meeting. The extraordinary meeting is defined, particularly was for just
For that one single item on the agenda, but one was added because it's a legal
Because we've got an
requirement.
issue, yeah. Yeah.
Well, when then, I do think that this needs to be expedited, because we need to make people perfectly aware that we are managing the fund properly.
That will go into the minutes.
That will go in the minutes.
Yeah, so what we said is, at the April, we need to have a pre-meeting that allows all the trustees to ask questions of student, and that will be done 27th of April.
Is that the consensus of the meeting? Or does anyone want an earlier meeting or at any other time?
I think, Chair, the key paragraph in this report from the RFO is the final one. The investments are performing well. But we're only having this discussion because of the constant drawing down of the capital. And he says, the focus must be not on drawing down investments
On the assets.
to maximise returns. The only way to achieve this is to focus on growing revenues from the charities and other assets.
Yep.
So we need to look at the bigger picture.
So, if we're not going to have a meeting until April, is it April? Yes. Then to reflect on the issues and questions for could achieve at this meeting, I think that's a little bit premature then. So really, I think then we need to take the voters to, are we content to receive the report?
Yeah.
And I think we've all got to say very clearly that, we need to make it clear to colleagues who say otherwise, and say, well, actually, no, it is performing well. And then to decide that the April meeting is the appropriate one, and that we would have it as a team oblique Zoom whatever meeting.
Or, is there any reason why they've given a 2-month gap between dates?
No,
It
I
seems a bit
suggested dates that were prior
right,
yes.
to
So
the STBF.
It's
or
the
the
convenience,
STC.
which people are here all to anyway.
It's a pre-meeting for when we've got 16 councillors.
Because we haven't got an STC in March.
Yeah.
I understand.
So the
So,
16th of March is STBF trustees, and then the 27th of April is STC full council.
STBF. So,
Well, why don't we do it 16th of March?
I would say do it in March.
Yes,
April seems so
April
long.
seems too far.
Too far away.
That's my point about when we last see them. It wasn't as late as April.
Okay, if we can
Yeah, that's
go to
fine.
March.
Yeah.
Do you want me to minute that at the annual STBF meeting,
Yes,
a discussion should be had with all 16 members of the trustee
yes.
to think about what we want to do with the risk profile?
Okay.
Do you want, can we propose all that lot, please?
Right, so we're proposing, first of all, that we receive the report, which there's no question about. And that secondly, the date, time and format of the annual meeting will be in 16th of March. The format will be
On Zoom.
Pre-meeting.
a pre-meeting on Zoom.
Probably the 60.
What's the 16th?
Oh, so
And
And in between now and then, people will be invited to
consider questions. But this will be, the report will be in the minutes, will be publicly available. And I think perhaps it wouldn't make sense to send it to all of the trustees.
It has been sent.
It has been sent, thank you.
Can I have a second that?
Okay, and then risk profile review in June.
Votes, please. Okay,
Sorry, I haven't got.
Councillor Black proposed it.
Proposed it. and Councillor Tudor seconded.
And we all unanimous.
Right, last item of business is date of the next meeting, Wednesday, the 11th of March.
Thank you.
Thanks for your time, folks,
Cheers.
and thank you to the two officers for attending.
So it 60 was a long way.
Yes.